What's going on, internet? My name's TR Gaming, and welcome to my first ever live commentary on YouTube. Now, instead of doing an introduction video, I'm going to display to y'all a theory that I've been thinking about ever since the Final Stand DLC came out. I had to drink there. Anyway, my theory is the storyline of BF4's multiplayer. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Oh, Battlefield 4's multiplayer doesn't have a story. It's just player versus player. You just gotta kill them all. Yeah. Well, I say true. But have they ever considered that there might be a storyline inside Battlefield 4's multiplayer? I wonder if they've considered that. So, that's why I'm gonna do my best to explain to you today. I might have a lot of potholes in my theory, but they're my theory nonetheless. And I'm happy with them. So, very first, at the beginning, to get to the beginning, the end of Battlefield 4's campaign, I believe Admiral Chang succeeded in destroying the USS Valkyrie and killing everybody aboard the Valkyrie, including the rightful president of China, Jin Jae. If otherwise, the war would have been over. Jin Jae would have been saved, Chang would have been killed, and the war would have been over. The war would have been over because without a war, there's no place in the multiplayer to be. But with Chang victorious over the Valkyrie and Tombstone Squad and Jin Jae, the war continues because the rightful president of China has been saved, and so the war continues under his control. The Chinese and Russians are still aligned against the US, so the war of 2020 is still going on. Alright, now to get into the multiplayer itself. I believe the United States staged an invasion of China, and I export this to several theories. The map Paracel Storm, which is an island just off the coast of China, is the US's first push into the Chinese mainland, or they're prepping for the Chinese invasion. The Paracel Storm, the US was successful in breaking through the Chinese resistance there. So, Paracel Storm was a U.S. victory. That's depicted by the Dawnbreaker map and several base maps that take place inside China, which has the U.S. fighting the Chinese. So, Dawnbreaker is a massive port. I looked it up, and I forgot the facts. But, Dawnbreaker is home to a major port for China. And any war, you want to cut off the supply lifeline of your enemy so that you have a better time winning, an easier time winning the war. So the U.S. set its sights on Dawnbreaker, and the U.S. was successful here, capturing Dawnbreaker's port. And so the Chinese were forced back, and their supply line had been cut. So, next up is Siege of Shanghai, which captures the city of Shanghai. The U.S. captured the city of Shanghai because in the multiplayer map, the map is under siege. Shanghai is under siege. A lot of places are in ruin. And it's just a war-torn, hellish map. Though it might not look like it, but it's a war-torn map in the Siege of Shanghai. And so I believe the United States captured Shanghai successfully, and the Chinese were once again pushed back. Now, along this timeline, the Russians started fighting parts of the Chinese. And I'm backing this up. I know this match is about to end here, so I'll just keep talking until I hit the 10-minute limit, or the next game runs out. This game ends really. On road transmission, Golmud Railway and Lanking Dam, the Russians and Chinese fight each other. And I have a theory for why this is happening. When Admiral Chang assassinated Jin Jae, or so they thought assassinated Jin Jae, there was a faction of China's army that did not accept Chang as their leader. They worshipped Jin Jae as their rightful leader, and so they rebelled against Chang deep in the mainland. And so, with Admiral Chang and his forces fighting the Americans, Chang requested the help of the Russians to deal with the Chinese insurgents that supported Jin Jae. And we won big time, I know that. So anyway, Chang requested the Russians' help to deal with the Chinese insurgents supporting Jin Jae inside the mainland. And since road transmission, Golmud Railway, and Lanking Dam all takes place inside China, that's my theory. The Russians are fighting a Jin Jae-aligned group of China's army. Alright. Next up, I want to get into the DLC. Second Assault, first of all. Operation Metro doesn't really have a point in this. But I want to get to Caspian Border, Gulf of Oman, Operation Firestorm, and I have an explanation for this. If any of y'all played Battlefield 3's campaign and multiplayer, though a lot of you played the multiplayer, which is kind of based with this is on, since Gulf of Oman and Operation Firestorm and Caspian Border were all in Battlefield 3 as DLC, except for Caspian Border wasn't DLC. That my belief that after the Battlefield 3 is the War of 2014, because that's the year the game happens in 2014. After the war, the U.S. and Russia stationed forces inside the Middle East
Commander's initials registered.
to gain influence over the Middle East. And so they stationed here, and tensions were high against America and Russia. Tensions were high between them. And so once the Battlefield 4 happened and the War of 2020 came along, the forces stationed in the Middle East began to fight. They began to fight at one another. So that's why I believe the second Assault DLC is here to depict the new war happening between the U.S. and Russia in the Middle East. Since Caspian Border, Gulf of Oman, and Operation Firestorm were all in the Middle East. That's my theory on why Battlefield 4 can also take place in the Middle East was the second Assault DLC. Next, I want to get to the naval strike. The U.S. and China are fighting over several small islands, strategic islands, close to the Chinese mainland. And the U.S. is trying to use the island hopping strategy to hop from island to island, capturing the island and forcing the Chinese all the way back. And so this is why the carrier assault mode is there, since the carrier assault mode is basically them fighting over the island by destroying each other's carrier to weaken their position and let the U.S. capture the island successfully. And so the U.S. and China are fighting over those lands, and I believe the naval strike missions were a success because U.S. I believe captured the islands, which further contributed to their invasion of China, and the Chinese were again forced off their islands close to their homeland back into their mainland. I'll take another sip here. Alright, the next two DLC, Dragon's Teeth and China Rising. There's nothing really significant in all this, except the U.S. The only significance is that the U.S. is pushing deeper into the Chinese mainland, conquering much of the country. So a lot of all the maps are in China, except for propaganda, which takes place in North Korea, but that doesn't really have any correlation to this timeline that I'm proposing. So Dragon's Teeth and China Rising, with the exception of propaganda, all depict the United States pushing it deeper into China. Which is depicted here. I'm playing on Silk Road as a commander, but I'm not really playing the game right now. They all take place. This map is Silk Road, which is the Gobi Desert of China. So the U.S. is pushing here, and China is trying to defend it. So that's my theory on the Dragon's Teeth and China Rising fitting into the World 2020 timeline I'm proposing. But the important part to get to is Final Stand. And Final Stand, I believe, is the true ending of Battlefield 4 and the true beginning of Battlefield 2142, released years ago with futuristic battlefield warfare. Now, the U.S. had conquered much of the country, that is China, but they hadn't invaded the whole country. They hadn't invaded the whole Chinese mainland yet. And somewhere along this, the U.S. recovered intel that Russia was building top-secret technology inside their homeland, Russia. And so, I'm sorry, I gotta take another step here.
TOC confirms enemy deploying EMP.
I should take another damn step, I'm sorry. But Final Stand, the U.S. had conquered China, but then conquered the whole country. And the intel they recovered revealed that Russia was building top-secret technology. And so the United States Marine Corps was sent into Russia to stop it. You don't see a full-blown invasion of Russia. You just see the U.S. conquering the black sites of Russia. There are 4 maps in the Final Stand expansion. Operation Whiteout, Hammerhead, Hangar 21, and Giants of Karelia. And the U.S. is invading all of these sites in an effort to stop the Russians' production of these technologies and capture possibly for themselves. The reason I believe the U.S. is trying to capture this technology for themselves is that in Battlefield 2142 there are several American-made weapons, even though America itself doesn't appear in the game, because they don't appear in the game. Is that there's several American-made weapons in Battlefield 2142, and American-made gadgets in 2142. And there's also a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks to 2142, such as the Titan carrier in Battlefield 2142 on Hangar 21 inside the main hangar of the map. Inside the main hangar of the map, there is a Titan under construction, which is Objective A, and Objective B inside the hangars right underneath it. And second are the walkers on Giants of Corellia inside the main dome facility, which is Objective E. They're inside the main dome facility, and you see the Titans under construction.
Enemy is scanning for
Plus, you see the
vehicles.
Rorsch MX-1 railgun sniper, which is a prelude to the Rorsch railgun in 2142. And the XD-1 Ace Lepter is a prelude to the XD drones squad leaders use in Battlefield
This is
2142.
TAC Ops. EMP is ready.
So I believe the United States was successful in capturing the Russian black sites, even though I'm sorry I don't have an explanation for if Russia will retaliate, because Russia will retaliate against the U.S. so-called invasion of their homeland, because it's not depicted, it just depicts the Russians defending their black sites from U.S. incursion. And Final Stand, also on Final Stand, the Russia's and China's alliance result in the Pan-Asian Coalition, or PAC, as one of the factions of Battlefield 2142 tells us. Although PAC forces don't directly appear in Final Stand, sorry, I took a breath, but although PAC does not directly appear in Battlefield 4, it's heavily implied that they're there. They're there. You see their emblem, you see their symbols on a lot of the maps, more notably on Hammerhead. Most notably on Hammerhead, inside the main XD-1 testing facility, and the indoors of Hammerhead's sub-base. You see the early Pan-Asian Coalition symbols on the wall. So this is my theory, since the PAC are in 2142, that this is the true beginning of Battlefield 2142 and the true end of Battlefield 4, because this is the end of modern warfare and the beginning of advanced warfare, not related to the Call of Duty titles. So I just wanted to share that with you guys today, my explanation of the Battlefield 4 story mode. No, not story mode, the story of the multiplayer. A lot of you can all free to disagree or agree with me. Either way works. And any dissenters who don't like my explanation of the multiplayer, you can go ahead and leave your complaints in the comments section. But anyone who agrees with me on this theory, you go ahead and drop a subscribe and like and a comment in the comment section, because that really helps me out. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys my theory on Battlefield 4 multiplayer mode, having a story mode. You guys are free to like and drop your own theories in this video in the comment section, really, and drop a like. It goes a long way. Likes go a long way. Feel free to announce any plot holes, and I'll do my best to fill them in a future video, or I'll respond directly to you. Alright, Internet, this is TR Gaming signing off. See y'all next time. This is TR Gaming signing off.